Before history was written, the earth was a pristine canvas, awaiting a stroke that would change it forever. It was the Bronze Age, when small communities aspired to become cities, to become civilizations. The power of metal gave birth to a new age, an age of great achievement. And we will begin the journey from where every river was the cradle of life. The first civilization, Mesopotamia, 3,300 BC, between the Tigris and Euphrates. Followed by Egypt, 3,200 BC. Life flourished along the Great Nile River. In another world, the Norte Chico civilization, 3,100 BCE, arose along coastal Peru. By 2,500 BCE, the Indus Valley civilization flourished in Pakistan and India. And in Asia, the Chinese civilization, 2,200 BCE, formed along the Yangtze and Yellow Rivers. These societies shared characteristics: a central government, complex economy, and social structure. Polytheistic religions developed, centered on temples where sacrificial rites were performed. They invented the wheel, mathematics, sailing boats. The potter's wheel, woven cloth, and monumental construction. But one invention changed everything: writing. Writing facilitated city administration, the expression of ideas, and information preservation. It developed independently in at least 4 major ancient civilizations, beginning with the Mesopotamian cuneiform, which started as simple pictographs, followed by the Egyptian hieroglyphs around 3250 BC, along with the mysterious Indus script. And in China, writing was first used during the Shang Dynasty, 1766 to 1045 BC. Transport flourished on rivers and seas, fostering military power and exchange. New land technologies, horse-based cavalry, and chariots allowed armies to move faster. Trade expanded, creating vast commercial networks, the beginnings of archaic globalization. Bronze required tin, and tin was imported from as far away as England. The growth of cities quickly led to the establishment of states and empires. In Egypt, the initial division ended with the unification of the whole valley around 3,100 BCE. Around 2,600 BCE, the Indus Valley civilization built major cities at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Mesopotamian history was characterized by frequent wars between city-states. However, empires like Akkad, 25th century BC, arose, followed by the Neo-Sumerian Empire, 21st century BCE, that held hegemony in the area. In Europe, the Minoan civilization emerged in Crete around 2000 BCE and is regarded as the first civilization of the continent. Over the following millennia, civilizations developed across the world. Mycenaean Greece, 1600 BCE, began to develop. It flourished until the late Bronze Age collapse, 1300 to 1000 BC. In India, the foundations of many cultural aspects were laid in the Vedic period, 1750 to 600 BCE, including the emergence of Hinduism. From around 550 BCE, many independent kingdoms and republics, known as the Mahajanapadas, were established. Speakers of the Bantu languages began expanding across Africa, 3000 BCE until 1000 CE. Their expansion resulted in the spread of mixed farming and iron working throughout sub-Saharan Africa. The Lapita culture emerged near New Guinea around 1500 BCE and colonized remote Oceania. Reaching as far as Samoa, by 700 BCE. Returning to the Americas, the Norte Chico culture built public, monumental architecture at the city of Caral. The Moche culture, whose ceramics depict many aspects of daily life. And the Nazca created animal-shaped designs in the desert called Nazca lines. The Olmecs of Mesoamerica, by about 1200 BCE, are known for the colossal stone heads. They also devised the Mesoamerican calendar that was used by later cultures. Societies in North America were primarily hunter-gatherers building earthworks. Every civilization, no matter how distant, was built on the same desire to record, connect, and reach for the future. And that is how our world was shaped. Our story continues. From 800 to 200 BCE, the Axial Age, a period where transformative philosophical and religious ideas emerged. Chinese Confucianism, Indian Buddhism and Jainism, and Jewish monotheism all arose mostly independently during this time. Persian Zoroastrianism began earlier, but was institutionalized by the Achaemenid Empire during the Axial Age. New philosophies took hold in Greece during the 5th century BCE, epitomized by thinkers such as Plato and Aristotle. The first Olympic Games were held in 776 BCE, marking a period known as Classical Antiquity. In 508 BCE, the world's first democratic system of government was instituted in Athens. Axial Age ideas shaped subsequent intellectual and religious history. Confucianism was one of the 3 schools of thought that came to dominate Chinese thinking, along with Taoism and legalism. The Confucian tradition, focused on political morality through tradition, would later spread to Korea and Japan. Buddhism reached China in about the 1st century CE and spread widely, with 30,000 Buddhist temples in northern China alone by the 7th century CE. Buddhism became the main religion in much of South, Southeast, and East Asia. The Greek philosophical tradition diffused throughout the Mediterranean world and as far as India. Starting in the 4th century BCE after the conquest of Alexander the Great of Macedon. Both Christianity and Islam developed from the beliefs of Judaism. The millennium from 500 BCE to 500 CE saw a series of empires of unprecedented size develop. Well-trained professional armies, unifying ideologies, and advanced bureaucracies created the possibility for emperors to rule over large domains, whose populations could attain numbers upwards of tens of millions of subjects. International trade also expanded, most notably the massive trade routes in the Mediterranean Sea and the Silk Road, and a maritime trade web in the Indian Ocean. The Kingdom of the Medes helped to destroy the Assyrian Empire in tandem with the nomadic Scythians and the Babylonians. Nineveh, the capital of Assyria, was sacked by the Medes in 612 BCE. The Median Empire gave way to successive Iranian states, including the Achaemenid, 550 to 330 BCE, Parthian, 247 BCE, 224 CE, and Sasanian empires, 224 to 651 CE. 2 major empires began in modern-day Greece. In the late 5th century BCE, several Greek city-states checked the Achaemenid Persian advance. These wars were followed by the Golden Age of Athens, which laid many of the foundations of Western civilization, including the first theatrical performances. The wars led to the creation of the Delian League, founded in 477 BCE, and eventually the Athenian Empire, which was defeated by a Spartan-led coalition during the Peloponnesian War. Philip of Macedon unified the Greek city-states into the Hellenic League, and his son Alexander the Great, 356 to 323 BCE, founded an empire extending from present-day Greece to India. The empire divided into several successor states shortly after his death, resulting in the founding of many cities and the spread of Greek culture throughout conquered regions, a process referred to as Hellenization. The Hellenistic period lasted from the death of Alexander in 323 BCE until 31 BCE, when Ptolemaic Egypt fell to Rome. In Europe, the Roman Republic was founded in the 6th century BCE and began expanding its territory in the 3rd century BCE. Prior to this, the Carthaginian Empire had dominated the Mediterranean, however lost 3 successive wars to the Romans. The Republic became an empire, and by the time of Augustus, 63 BC, 14 C, it had established dominion over most of the Mediterranean Sea. The empire continued to grow and reached its peak under Trajan, 53 to 117 CE, controlling much of the land from England to Mesopotamia. The 2 centuries that followed are known as the Pax Romana, a period of unprecedented peace, prosperity, and political stability in most of Europe. Christianity was persecuted for 3 centuries under the empire. It was legalized by Constantine I in 313 CE. It became the sole official religion of the empire in 380 CE. While the Emperor Theodosius outlawed pagan religions in 391 to 392 CE. In South Asia, Chandragupta Maurya founded the Maurya Empire, 320 to 185 BC, which flourished under Ashoka the Great. From the 4th to 6th century CE, the Gupta Empire oversaw the period referred to as Ancient India's Golden Age. The resulting stability helped usher in a flourishing period for Hindu and Buddhist culture, as well as major advances in science and mathematics. In South India, 3 prominent Dravidian kingdoms emerged: the Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas. In China, Qin Shi Huang put an end to the chaotic warring states period by uniting all of China under the Qin Dynasty, 221 to 206 BC. Qin Shi Huang was an adherent of the legalist school of thought and displaced the hereditary aristocracy by creating an efficient system of administration. The harshness of the Qin Dynasty led to rebellions and the dynasty's fall. It was followed by the Han Dynasty, 202 BCE, 220 CE, which combined the legalist, bureaucratic system with Confucian ideals. The Han Dynasty was comparable in power and influence to the Roman Empire that lay at the other end of the Silk Road. As economic prosperity fueled their military expansion, the Han conquered parts of Mongolia, Central Asia, Manchuria, Korea, and northern Vietnam. Han China advanced significantly in the areas of government, education, science, and technology. The Han invented the compass. In Africa, the Kingdom of Kush prospered through its interactions with both Egypt and sub-Saharan Africa. It ruled Egypt as the 25th dynasty from 712 to 650 BCE, then continued as an agricultural and trading state based in the city of Meroe until the 4th century CE. The Kingdom of Axial, centered in present-day Ethiopia, established itself by the 1st century CE as a major trading empire. Controlling the Red Sea trade, it minted its own currency and carved enormous monolithic stele. Successful regional empires were also established in the Americas, arising from cultures established as early as 2500 BCE. Vast pre-Columbian societies were built in Mesoamerica, the most notable being the Zapotec and the Maya civilization. The Maya developed a writing system and used the concept of zero in their mathematics. West of the Maya area, the city of Teotihuacan prospered due to its control of the obsidian trade. Its power peaked around 450 CE, when its 125,000 to 150,000 inhabitants made it one of the world's largest cities. Technology developed sporadically. Greek science and technology reached their peak during the Hellenistic period, typified by the Antikythera mechanism. 2 of the most important innovations were paper, China, 1st and 2nd century CE, and the stirrup, India, 2nd century BCE, and Central Asia, 1st century CE, both of which diffused widely throughout the world. The Chinese learned to make silk and built massive engineering projects, such as the Great Wall of China. The Romans were also accomplished builders, inventing concrete, perfecting the use of arches, and creating aqueducts. Most ancient societies practiced slavery, which was particularly prevalent in Athens and Rome, where slaves were foundational to the economy. Patriarchy was also common, with men controlling more political and economic power than women. The ancient empires faced common problems associated with maintaining huge armies and supporting a central bureaucracy. In Rome and Han China, the state began to decline, and barbarian pressure on the frontiers hastened eternal dissolution. The Han Dynasty fell into civil war in 220 CE, beginning the Three Kingdoms period. While its Roman counterpart became increasingly decentralized and divided about the same time in what is known as the crisis of the 3rd century. From the Eurasian steppe, horse-based nomads dominated. The development of the stirrup and horse archers made the nomads a constant threat. In the 4th century CE, the Roman Empire split into Western and Eastern regions, with usually separate emperors. The Western Roman Empire fell in 476 CE to German influence under Odoacer in the Migration period. The Eastern Roman Empire, known as the Byzantine Empire, was more long-lasting. In China, dynasties rose and fell, but in sharp contrast to the Mediterranean European world, political unity was always eventually restored. The West is broken, leaving only the East's light. But a powerful new age is rising from the desert. Faith, conflict, and rebirth. 1,000 years of change are here, post-classical.